here is your host, the Duke of Krakenshire, Sir Jerk of Meta, and his adequately sized show. Well, thank you. Thank you. What an intro. And what a pleasure to finally get the interview I've been trying to arrange for the past 3 weeks. I honestly thought about blacklisting tonight's guest after finding out they made their original appearance on a certain Australian program. But after receiving an assortment of little cucumber sandwiches and tea cakes, well, I couldn't stay mad. Because today's guest is just so confounding and interesting and frankly charming. But no boat should be charming. But enough twaddle. Let's go ahead and bring them out. So put your hands together for the Tech Tree Tier 7 British Heavy Cruiser and the Mitchell to my Web. Give it up for Albemarle. It has been a few minutes since we had our last British Heavy Cruiser video. The greatest Tech Tree Tier 6 British Heavy Cruiser in the world. Sorry. And the Albemarle is the epitome of gentility of this line. A most confounding line, I have to say. I've been dev-struck in this ship more in the past 3 weeks than I imagine I have been in all other ships combined in the past year. At least. Now let me set the stage. About a week ago, a former fully licensed to thrill Wowzel CC, but now disgraced former CC, and friend of the show, Hipper, messaged me on Discord to ask if I had an Albemarle Kraken yet, to which I said no, as I was having a complicated relationship with it. He then informed me that a virtual glove slap had been issued unbeknownst to me, and that we were actually in a competition for the first Kraken video, which he had just completed. But which I knew nothing about. So congratulations, and let me recommend that if you are interested in sage advice on how to play this ship and you haven't seen his videos on it, do yourself a favor and check them out. I will link to it in the description below, because my advice for this ship will only ever result in your extravagant exit from the stage. The only question is, will it be in the first act, the second, or the third? Now that I've drawn this intro out longer than Jimmy Carr draws out his jokes to my first laugh, let's get the commander and the modules up on the big screen. We are using Billiam Slumbersnatch with Beckham and Gervais as inspirations in what is a mostly agile build, but one that has been smoothed over the concealment tip like freshly whipped peas. Let's talk about some of the pluses of this ship. It has great HE, the British 1/4 HE penetration. It's pretty much the same as Japanese HE, though this reloads a little faster than those cruisers. It also has the famous tube by tube torpedoes, which you can see me putting to use here, exploding this Scharnhorst like a blood sausage.
We destroyed an enemy battleship. Off to a cracking start.
Okay, now let's address some of its fragilities. Its agility is less Aston Martin and more Reliant Robin. Which isn't to say it can't turn, but if you should under or overturn, well, that's a dev strike. Next, we have a rather mediocre top speed and acceleration, which means should you find yourself put into a situation without a clear exit, that's a dev strike. So that sounds pretty bad, but it gets worse. Your bow armor is as thin as Keira Knightley, so anything 15 inches or above hitting your bow or stern, that's a dev strike. Though it is worth mentioning you can angle and bounce 15-inch shells off your belt, but you better be precise or you got it. That's a dev strike. Hearing all that, I'm guessing you are probably stammering to yourself like Hugh Grant in a rom-com. But Jack, that sounds awful. Why would I even play this ship? And that's a good question. But for all of its flaws, there is just something very enjoyable about this ship to me. Maybe it's the knowledge that at any second I could be dev struck and left to enjoy the silence.
Big boys don't cry.
Or maybe it's that if you can stay alive, you are pretty much guaranteed a very good game. I would guess my average XP in this ship is over 3,000, and that in spite of most of my exits coming in the form of an exploding boy, I'm still consistently coming in at the top of the scoreboard. For all of its flaws and weaknesses, it is as consistent as the Gallagher brothers are off-putting. Alright, enough of that, and let's get inside the shepherd's pie of this game. We are on one of my favorites north, and we spawned A-side with a Sinop, a Massachusetts, and a Kagero whom immediately dropped it into reverse and left, resulting in a glove slap of torpedoes from me to start this match. And if you keep your monocled eye on the kill feed, it will come as no surprise that said Kagero just was sunk. You don't have to be Stephen Hawking to see the direct correlation between poor destroyer choices and their usual early exit from the game. I pushed up into this cap, and thankfully my battleships joined me. We removed the Eager Beaver Scharnhorst, and now we sink the Massachusetts for my second ship of this game. Conveniently, this leads me to one of the features I failed to mention about the Albemarle earlier, and that's its radar. A 9-kilometer 30-second radar to be precise, which you can see me wasting here, as I was near certain that Akatsuki would be barreling in this way, eager to join me for afternoon tea. Instead opting to jump on the M1 and head south. So I will be changing my heading and point myself down to London town as well. If I can secure another ship sunk soon, then that will nearly guarantee that we will be hearing, at least in our heads, the voice of the BAFTA award-winning Best Actor Liam Neeson saying, "Release the Kraken!" I'll drop these torpedoes just on the off chance that they will hit the greatest tech tree Tier 6 British heavy cruiser in the world, and continue south to cut off this destroyer. Now for this destroyer, you tell him. You tell him I'm coming. Tell him I'm coming. If you are unfamiliar with Idris Elba's body of work, then this may not make too much sense. But in this situation, the Albemarle is DCS Lufa on the edge, and that destroyer is a door. Our secondaries pick this one up, and how have I not made a secondary build in this ship yet? I think they have a base range of 5-ish kilometers. I might be able to get them close to 6. That could be pretty fun. Back to the issue at hand. We still need 2 more ships, and so I'm eyeing this Hipper and Iowa, and I'm going to shoot the Hipper first. If I may, I will ease into this London fog and start blasting away at the cruiser. The reason I am targeting the Hipper first is because it has all of those torpedoes. And while the big guns on the Iowa can hurt, letting the Hipper dig into a spot where it can close us off from being able to enter the B cap would be bad. The Hipper is also very susceptible to HE in my experience, so I'm firing that, but seeing them go broadside behind this island, I've switched to AP, and bonk. Alright, so there we go. Now we've got our 4, and we are in our Kraken hunt. I've switched back to HE. Hopefully, I can burn this Iowa down. I checked real quick to see what the other ship is, and that is a Vladivostok, which I really don't want to deal with. So I'm going to use this island and terrain to remain unspotted and just keep firing HE at this Iowa in hopes of setting them on fire and burning them down and then calling it a game. We do get a fire there, and they end up putting it out immediately, so fingers crossed I can just keep firing this and get a second fire on them, because if I can get another fire now, even if they should go unspotted, they will be sunk, and that will be my Kraken. Because if they don't, I'm going to have to deal with this Vladivostok. Come on, give me one more fire just so we can be done with it. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to deal with the Vladivostok. This is only going to end in one way, folks. Anyone who wants to live can depart now and enjoy a long and fruitful life here in the countryside. I can't guarantee they have gooseberries, but it doesn't look all that much different than the North Country. If I had a dead division mate, it could be very helpful as they could actually tell me which guns on the Vladivostok have fired, so I could time my move properly. But like David Brent, I have no mates. But like Mike and Spaced, I finally get to be the hero. Hey, Tim? You know, the saddest thing here is that I never even got to show you all that's super heal. This does have a super heal. But there is no heal that is strong enough that can protect me from myself. And there is Kraken 212 in the Albemarle. Alright, scoreboard. 3,098 XP, squeaking in a very good game, and medals as far as the eye can see. Let's see the credit roll. A good game to all involved. That's going to wrap it up for this one. If Spaced is just about the best TV show ever, hit like. If you prefer the American version of The Office to the original, hit dislike. Questions, comments, royal family gossip, leave it down below. And to avoid the possibility of ever missing more god-awful accents like these, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll get back out there for another one soon, and we will talk then.